welcome back to the channel of car nonsense and the automotive equivalent of share, because it's been facelifted several times, but underneath it's actually quite old. It's the Audi Q7. Now, I've got a bit of a thing for big luxury SUVs at the moment. I reviewed the BMW X7 very recently, and it had the sort of poise and long distance comfort that Lawrence of Arabia would absolutely love. So you can imagine my disappointment when I emailed Audi asking for a Q7, and they said, I'm afraid we've only got the SQ7 available with its 500 horsepower V8. We'll struggle on, but I'll try and do this as a review of the Q7 and the fancy SQ7 sort of in one. Let's go. And I've got a bit of a cold, so excuse me if I sound like I'm underwater. Now, this is the second generation of Audi Q7. Apparently the third generation one is about to come out just as I release this video, which is really great for my YouTube timings, but this came out in 2015. The world was a more innocent place. I went on the launch of that car down in the New Forest and I was still at CarWow. Life was happy and jolly. I think S7 might still even have been together. And then it was facelifted in 2020, this, not S7, and then again in the past couple of years. So it's getting on a bit. But trust me, it's still quite a good car that should be on your shopping list. And if you do want a Q7, it's going to cost from £73,000. That gets a 6-cylinder diesel engine of 230 horsepower. Most people are going to go for a kind of 276 horsepower diesel. It's a bit punchier. Or there's a 340 horsepower V6 petrol, which I had in a Touareg once, and it was good but very thirsty. I would stick with the diesel. Now this is an SQ7. So it's 100 grand for one of these. This has got a 4-litre V8 with 506 horsepower. This, though, is a Vorsprung one, so it's got all of the options included, £117,000. But anyway, whatever Q7 you get, even the entry-level one, you get LED matrix headlights, you get this new bold grille with the flat Audi badge. It looks very imposing, but it does start to look a little bit like the car that we saw back in 2015, just with a few nips and tucks. There aren't actually that many options on the Q7. There are a couple of packs that you might want. Things like head-up display, 360 camera, better sound system, and then the paint is about 800 quid. This is Daytona grey metallic pearl, which is basically an iconic Audi colour that has been around since forever. But anyway, I'm going to show you what this is like. It's got quite a special interior on this one, so stay tuned if you like red. The SQ7, or the Q7, is Audi's 7-seater SUV. It sits above the Q5. This is the daddy of their range unless you get the Q8, which you probably shouldn't do unless you're a footballer or a drug dealer. But anyway, 5.06 meters long this. It weighs 2.26 tons. Now, all Q7s, even the entry-level one, which is the S-Line, which isn't really entry-level, is it? But at the top of the range, you start at S-Line, get air suspension, so nice cushiony ride, or is it? We'll find out in a bit. Now, because this is the SQ7, the sporty one, it's got a couple of extra things. It's got a sports differential at the back axle, and it's also got rear wheel steering as standard, which I think you should probably spec on your Q7 anyway, if you can, because it just tightens the turning circle and makes it less of a bugger to park, and it is quite long, to be honest. Now, this has got 400mm front brake discs on it, 22-inch wheels. I've just locked it with my left buttock by touching the door handle, which was an error. And this one has got Audi's active roll cancellation system. Because it's the sporty one, we'll talk about this in the driving, it can basically keep itself nice and level on a straight bumpy road and then use the same technology to keep the body level in cornering. And it really does work. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But otherwise, big family SUV, what more do you want? Well, maybe a BMW X7, we'll talk about that. Okay, let's quickly talk about the back end of the Q7. It will be quick because I'm having a sneezing fit. If there's lots of cuts in this bit of the video, I'm sorry. That is why. Right, what do you notice? Well, you notice that it's got fat quad exhaust. They're all real exhausts on this SQ7 to help that 4-litre V8 breathe. You don't get those on the lesser models. You've got an SQ7 badge there. And because this is the Vorsprung model, you get a beige Volvo XC40 driving through your shop. Or is it grey? I think it's grey. I'm just having a little bit of brain problems today. Sorry, because it's a Vorsprung model, you get OLED tail lights. That's very cool. You don't get that as standard even on the normal SQ7. Other things, if you want to tow with this, you can, up to 3.5 tons. It's a very good tow car. The towing ball is 1,100 quid, and it comes out. Am I going to have to help out with my foot, or is it going to come out in a state of full turgidity? Yep, it's very erect. There we go. That's 1,100 quid or 1450 if you want it with the trailer assist thing to help you guide it onto the hitch with cameras. And I guess that probably helps with the stability control stuff as well. Yada, yada, yada. Anyway, the boot. 780 litres in 5-seat mode. It is mammoth. It is slightly bigger than the BMW X7 I had the other week. If you fold the third row seats up to use them, it shrinks to 295 litres, which is slightly less than the 320 the BMW gives you. But otherwise, yeah, it is absolutely vast. The seats all move electrically as well. And you've got a whole suite of buttons here to do the tow bar, the seats, raise and lower the air suspension, etc. Now, if you fold all the seats down, you get nearly 1900 litres of space, which is vast. And under here you've got absolutely no space because there's a subwoofer and a spare rear number plate for towing stuff. But there we go, they've all got electric closing boots, and yeah, very, very practical for family life. Me likey quite a lot. 360 camera, that is part of a 3000 technology pack, I do believe, which includes a head-up display, etc, etc. I think it's standard on the SQ7 though. Didn't sneeze. Okay, here's the SQ7's cabin. Yeah, you get a centered steering wheel on models that I've not driven. Sorry for not getting that at 12 o'clock. That's very bad of me, but look, they all pretty much look like this. Digital dashboard, which has been the same since 2015, but somehow still doesn't look dated to my eyes. You've also got this little always-on climate control screen down there, which also you can have a shortcut to turn off the speed limit warning on. Drive select buttons down there, so you can put it in dynamic mode and adjust the air suspension. And you've got the infotainment system, which has got wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, and is very easy to use, to be honest. You've got slightly dated, I guess, looking fuel gauges and temperature gauges there. You've got a circular steering wheel. I can't remember the last time I saw a circular steering wheel in an Audi S-Line model, but there we are, quite like it. Now, because this is the sporty SQ7, you probably can't see because the lighting's terrible, but you've got carbon fibre and Alcantara everywhere, all over the roof as well, which I quite like. But you've also got lots of shiny piano black plastic here, which scratches easily and gets fingerprints on, and it's just a bit of a waste of time, to be honest. Red seats in this one. That's a free option on the SQ7. You can have these sport seats in either black or red. Sorry, let me brighten you up a bit. This is called Arras Red. Arras Red, named after the town where there was lots of bloody fighting in the First World War. So yeah, I don't know who's in charge of naming things in Audi, but that's probably a bit of a misstep. You have got, under here, a wireless charger underneath my drone controller, loads of USB-Cs. The head-up display is standard on the SQ7, but otherwise it's part of a £3,000 tech pack. Bang & Olufsen, also part of that tech pack, but standard on the SQ7. Adaptive cruise with swerve and turn assist, that's part of the £1,750 tour pack. You do get heated front seats on all Q7s. And the difference between the SQ7 and the SQ7 Vorsprung in here is that these sport seats are ventilated in the Vorsprung model. But otherwise, actually, the cabin is holding up quite well. You might say the circular steering wheel looks a bit dated. I quite like that. It's a thin steering wheel that's round, the shape it should be. And the head-up display could be a little bit bigger. But otherwise, it's practical, it feels nice, and it smells nice as well, which is important, isn't it? And I forgot to mention, this car has got carbon fibre mirror caps because it's an SQ7 Vorsprung as well. Passenger accommodation in the back of the Q7 is definitely spacious. I am 6'3", say it in every video, but look, that's my driving position. That actually goes forward a bit when I start the car. Loads of room. My feet and my head doesn't touch the ceiling just, even though I've got panoramic sunroof. There's a vent there, you've got a little stringy mat pocket there. A big suite of climate controls for your heated rear seats and all the rest of it there. Carbon fibre, Alcantara, red leather, it's very plush. Big door bins, which aren't felt lined, and apparently, oh, I've got a little party bag in that one. That is not standard, I don't believe. Yeah, there's not much of a hump in the floor, although there is a little one. I remember on the X7, there was no hump in the floor at all on that car. All I would say is that you can do some things like recline the seats. Where's the handle gone, Rhodey? You can recline the seats and you can slide them. But it's all done manually. It's all done manually on a 120 grand car. From memory, in the X7, all the seats were electrically adjustable. So this is starting to feel its age in that department. I actually prefer manually adjustable seats because it's just quicker, to be honest, even if it's not as posh. You've got centre armrest with cup holders. The only other thing I don't really love is that the Isofix covers are behind like a removable leather limb, shall we say, which you then have to pop back on. Which is easy enough to do, but That feels like quite an expensive bit of red leather to then lose when you come to sell your car afterwards. I'm going to quickly jump in the third row of seats. I'm not going to fit. It's going to be a faff with the parcel shelf. I kind of wish I hadn't committed to doing it, but here we go. Please watch this next bit because it's a pain in the arse to shoot. Oh, I've got ashtrays in the doors for some reason. Right, time to go into the back seats of the SQ7. Let's fold that out of the way. I think that should tumble forwards now. Hang on, here we go. Right, there we go. You lift that with that handle there and that tumbles forward out of the way. That actually gives you quite good access to the third row, which I can already see have ice effects on them, which is quite rare and quite handy. Right, I'm not meant to be getting in the back of this car. Yeah, right. You can see I'm going to have no leg room unless that slides forwards. Really quite tight back here, but you have got cup holders there and armrests. Yeah, as usual, back seats are for kids. Not as roomy back here as in the X7 by quite a big margin, actually. I've now got cramp in my foot and I haven't got headroom. I've got some lights up here though and speakers, but I had to take the parcel shelf out to put these seats up, and there's now nowhere to put the parcel shelf because it doesn't fit in the boot. So yeah, not a great showing, but as occasional seats for kids, these are probably just about okay. And at least you've got decent view out, which is better than some. Right, let's go for a drive in the SQ7 then. Foot on the brakes, finger. Press the start button and it fires into life with a proper V8 burble and all the Audi noises, and you have to decline all the data collection mumbo jumbo. You're going to press down here to turn the speed limit warning off, and that's it. You're ready to go back into D. And the view out the back's actually quite good for a big 7-seat SUV. The 360 camera is a massive help. Make sure you don't forget to spec that if you're buying one of these. Likewise, the rear wheel steer, because it does make 3-point turns and everything, a bit less of a faff. Likewise, parallel parking. Now, all Q7s, and I've driven quite a few in my time as a car journalist, ride really well. That air suspension just does a good job of ironing everything out while still giving you proper body control. Sometimes air suspension in Mercedes models leaves it feeling a bit, oh, I feel a bit sick. This still feels connected to the road. It's not magic carpet smooth, but it is very good for wafting. That is basically this car's raison d'etre, is wafting and doing the school run as well. So yes, I like this. I like the way it goes down the road really quite a lot. But the star turn in the SQ7 is the 4-litre V8. Let's not beat about the bush. You've got 507 horsepower, I think I said 506 earlier, 770 Newton meters of torque. And it just means you don't have to go looking for performance. On a part throttle in comfort mode, it is effortlessly fast. It is really quite astonishing. Maybe you put it into dynamic mode or use the paddles or kick down. It's quite terrifyingly fast considering this weighs well over 2 tons, but it doesn't feel unmanageable. The steering is nice and direct. It's quite naturally weighted. It doesn't feel as distant as more modern electric steering systems, and you can feel the rear wheel steer working with you as well. So it's actually quite a joyous thing to punt around. And if you've got it in dynamic mode with the sport differential on this one, it will wiggle its hips off roundabouts, and when you plant it on a wet road, even in a straight line, it will crab up the road like you're in a Ferrari FF skidding slightly sideways down the road. It's much more entertaining than you think an Audi Q7 could ever be. I really like it. It is probably one of my favourite guilty pleasure SUVs, to be honest, and I love the fact that they depreciate like a stone, because one day I might be able to afford one. But in terms of the day-to-day practicalities, you're going to struggle to get to the official 23 mpg. This morning I have averaged 6.9 mpg. Yeah, but I've been making quite a lot of V8 noise. On a run I have seen 22, 23 mpg, just about. So yeah, it's a thirsty beast, but you've got an 85-litre fuel tank, so your maximum range will still be about 500 miles-ish at a push. It's just a really lovely thing to beetle about in. You feel like you're a German captain of industry with those quad pipes, and it's just a bit more classy than the RS Q8 from Audi as well, I think. Anyway, it's a bit more understated. So yeah, lots of clever tech going on. I've mentioned the active anti-roll stuff. Now that is basically these electric anti-roll bars that work off a 48-volt system, which can quickly loosen on straight roads when it's bumpy to keep the body nice and level. And they work with the air suspension to eliminate rolling corners, as well as just smoothing things out on a bumpy bit of road. And when you get to a really bumpy bit of road, even if it's not in a 40 limit round here, it is impressively calm. It's kind of almost surfing over the road. So yes, I can't explain exactly how it works because there's lots of accumulators and clever reservoirs and pressure things and stuff and lots of sensors to tell the car how level it is, but it works really quite well. Obviously I need this going to a 30 limit behind a ton of cyclists. There we go, look, there's a matte black horror show going the other way, driven by a very elderly gentleman. But anyway, if you're looking at the Q7, not necessarily the SQ7, I really rate it as a family car. It's really spacious, it's really quiet on the motorways as well, and the diesels will get closer to kind of 35 mpg territory. It's just a nice thing. It's just a really nice thing, and there's probably a reason Audi has taken 11 years to think about replacing it, because it didn't need much doing to it. And I think the new version will probably be on a very similar platform to this, but updated for more hybridization and things like that. It'll probably be heavier as well and have a load more tech. But frankly, I don't feel like I'm missing anything in this. But that sounds like conclusion. Let's head back to me for our conclusion. Oh, we'll do 155 miles an hour flat out as well. I should point that out. And there's off-road modes, whatever. On the face of it then, the Audi Q7 is a bit of a dated dinosaur that has been kept alive for too long. But it hasn't. It still feels perfectly modern and does everything a big luxury SUV needs to do. It's very comfortable, handles surprisingly well, and the V8 in this SQ7 is monstrous, if not very economical, but it makes a good noise. So a new version is going to come out. It's going to be probably a bit chintzier. It might have Audi's new interior, which I don't like as much as this old one. I think this might be one of the best buys at the moment, because this, technically, £101,000 for an SQ7, brand new at the moment. You can get one of these for £88,000, even less actually on some specs. So you can just knock loads of money off it because it's about to be replaced, making it a bit of a billy bargain. And the same goes for the entry-level diesel models as well. So yeah, there's a reason these used to be everywhere. They're very good big family cars, even if you don't need 7 seats. That massive boot is great for camping trips. It can tow loads, it looks smart, it makes you feel good about yourself, and it's very comfortable as well. Now, I've been comparing it to the X7 rather than the X5 in this video, just because I drove the X7 very recently. The X7 is a little bit more plush and doesn't handle as sharply as this. The X5M, the V8 version of the X5, is possibly a little bit more fun to drive than this, but really, big SUV, even with a V8, it's not all about cornering, it's more about straight line wallop, and this is very good at that. I also like the X5M as well, just for the record. Anyway, 8 Tim Roadies out of 10. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Go down to the comments and leave me the German word for old is sometimes better. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. And hopefully at some point I'll get to drive the new Q7 when it's out, which will probably be like hybrid Fandango, super shiny plastic, lovely, lovely, probably expensive as well. Goodbye. Fandango.